Today we are driving the Mazda 6e. Can this one here kick the Tesla Model 3 off the road? Is it a worthy successor of the Mazda 6? Can it even attack an entry-level new Mercedes CLA in the electric version? We're going to find out with Thomas Autogefühl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go with the new Mazda 6e. And you can see here the closed front grille, typically for the electric vehicles. And you can see when it's a little bit darker that this is here also illuminated, for example. Underneath the daytime running light, really slim integration. This is here the main headlamp unit, and we have a really interesting aero gray color here for today. I think it's really lovely, and that's why I also matched my outfit to it. We also have a melting copper vehicle for you that also looks pretty cool. And last time in the studio we also had the typical Soul Red Crystal for Mazda. The length here is 4 meters 92 or 194 inches. That means it's longer than the Model 3, lengthwise rather a Tesla Model S competitor. But at the end we're going to talk about the price. I can already tell you so far, it will be offered at a very, very attractive price. So price performance is the thing here of the Mazda 6e. And from the outside, I think it looks stunning. And this combination of a nice exterior design with a low entry price could be something that really moves people to buy it. Let's see if that works and also how it drives later. 19-inch wheels, these are always standard, also in a more aerodynamic design. And then we have some black accentuations, for example, here and here at the side mirrors. And the frames, however, then in the lower part are in chrome, continued right here, really stretched. That's of course also good for the aerodynamics. This rear wing here, you can also retract and extract. However, Mazda says it doesn't make the biggest difference, and it's also not mandatory at higher speeds to go for it. It kinda can also stay down all the time. Top speed is 175 kilometers an hour or 110 miles per hour. The rear here, lights goes all the way through. Interesting that the turning indicators then are round here in this integration. Looks also quite fancy indeed. And this wheel will be rear-wheel drive. Always so far, and you will have either 7.8 seconds or 7.6 seconds in the acceleration figure for the small and for the bigger battery. Here the smaller battery is quicker actually in the acceleration, but not only in the acceleration but also in the charging. Charging port is here on the opposite side actually. And now it gets really interesting because the small battery is LFP, 69 kilowatt hours. And will charge in 24 minutes from 10 to 80% state of charge. That's pretty quick indeed. Charging port is here, manually, just AC and DC. AC is 11 kilowatt. And the bigger battery is NMC chemistry, 80 kilowatt hours, and charges in 47 minutes, 10 to 80% state of charge. And honestly, yeah, there is not a big extra price for the big battery. It's also not so much bigger, but this really slow charging time makes the bigger battery a no-go, basically. So everyone will rightfully go for this one here, the LFP battery, which is also equipped with this very vehicle. And then we also do a driving efficiency test here for you today on the German Autobahn to see more about the realistic real-world range. Let's see about the frunk. Here, unlock from inside, and then you have to do the second unlock here. There we go, and it actually has a reasonable size here. Wow. Not only for a charging cable, but there could even be luggage inside, and even, like a small case underneath. This is a very interesting new key fob. Mazda lettering at the side, see-through, and here's the structure, so pretty cool. And meep meep also has a horn symbol. You can annoy some people that are watching at your car. So here then opening here, also the door handles come towards you. I'm not the fan of these flush door handles, honestly. And then it does give you a manual feedback though, and door closing sound. It's actually quite solid. I think they really improved it from the first hand-built studio model. And then, although it's a frameless door, so very nice. Then also inside of the doors here, this is a soft structure, nice leatherette surface. Then here we have some microfiber here. Also here a brown integration of the speaker cover. So this Takumi Plus trim is always in the brown scheme, but there are alternatives to that, zoom out to that. 4 window levers, considering the Mercedes CLA, we gotta mention that, and hard plastic at the inside of the door. And now comes a very interesting aspect, because one of the other main questions is this one here a real Mazda? Because the car says, I'm here. Well, the car obviously answers me directly.
I'm listening.
Go ahead, I'm listening, it says. So my point was, this is built in a joint venture. This is built in a joint venture, zoom on to that. So there the real question is, can they still keep up
I still didn't quite catch that. Call me again when you need me.
Okay, we continue with the review. Here we go with the new steering wheel, open spoke design in the lower part. And then we have here the buttons. For example, here I put like a favorite button for retracting the spoiler manual to show off to the friends. 360 button for the camera view, for example. So there are some buttons you can press. Here the stock column, left side, and also right side. You maybe remember it from the Mercedes models in the 2000s. Zoom more details to that. And then here the seats. These are the Takumi Plus seats with some microfiber here. Also a nice quilted pattern. And then there is a mix. Some parts are leather red, and there are some few parts that are from animal skin, which is not really necessary, and only this brown color is available. And therefore, I think most people will go for the base trim, the Takumi trim, which offers then in bright or dark a high-grade leather red, also with perforation. And both trim levels also offer seat ventilation for the front seats, so that's actually pretty cool. That's why I would also stick them with the base trim. The seats themselves, I would say, there are seats that offer better comfort, but they're not bad. And the headroom here, this is one thing. I'm here 1.89 meters, 6'2". There is enough headroom, not too much though. I can also open that roof. There is no button for that here. I really have to go in the menu then to open the roof, and then
from the side.
There it was. Side swipe, sunshade. So there we go. And then we have this split glass roof. This Takumi Plus trim has this one with the shade. The only true disadvantage of the base trim is that there you don't have this electric shade. You have a glass roof that runs through, but then you don't have this bar in the middle, which is then again an advantage. And there, like with the Tesla Model 3, you can order like a fixed shade you can manually put in once. I would actually do that and then just leave it in. So that's how I would do it. Steering wheel, manual control, in, out, up and down. It doesn't go too far out. So I would wish that it goes a little bit more towards me. The digital instruments are nicely integrated. It's also soft here on the top part of the dash and so on. Head display box is also there, and you don't have to add any options. And that's why I think this is the most attractive thing about this car. Even if you go base trim level and don't add anything, you're basically already ready to go. Now welcome to the cockpit. The thing is, when I say it's not ideal for tall people, it works with the headroom. However, when you see where the windshield is ending in the top and where my forehead is, it still works, but you see that tall people were not the main target group. And also, for example, when I put the sunshade down, the sun visor, I can't see nothing anymore. Like, that's it, you know. It's worse in the Neo ET5, for example. That was the worst car as for this aspect, and it's still okay. You cannot extend this one here, by the way. But you see, like, I would crush my head with this one. But I think it's still fine if you don't put your spine too far up and if you're not taller than me, actually. I think the light integration here, that looks pretty nice, you know. So this looks actually high class. Also here that the back mirror is frameless, and the general build quality is actually pretty cool in this vehicle. Also here, for example, the middle console here, softer for your elbow, and then you have this nice button here.
Nice, yeah.
It looks pretty cool. And the thing is, the same button here you also have on my side. So I can press it here and, whoa. You can hit someone with that one. And then there's here still like this steering wheel cover.
Yeah.
We could do some unwrapping reel for that. And then it also looks like you can use it as a shower cap or something. Well, underneath here is a lot of space. So that makes sense.
Here?
Oh, there's like a holder for, I don't know. Not sure what that's, maybe it's some cards or something. And then here, this also looks really high class with the ambient lighting integration. Cup holders are adaptive, 3-dot design, and in the front, a lot of space for the smartphones. Left side is for inductive charging and also with cooling. That's interesting. These air vents here can be controlled manually, and nice microfiber here. I guess that would then be the leatherette as well in the base trim level. Here the dashboard, also here, now with the structured surface. So that looks all pretty well built. It is different from other Mazdas, and one of the main reasons is so far we were praising Mazda for having real buttons everywhere. And this is gone now. For example, the climate unit is also in the screen with sliding or pressing and so on. So you definitely have less real buttons. Oh, now the climate unit is a little bit loud. And then you have here this 14.6, so almost 15-inch screen that really dominates the interior. And also this software here, since this is here a joint venture, the software is completely different. But the hardware is pretty quick, so the CPU that is behind it is very good. That's why you have a quick infotainment system with more functionality, soon more to that. But it is different than all other Mazdas before. And then here, glove box, also smoothly dampened. That's also fine actually. So what you feel is very decent actually. Underneath there's some more space, and here's USB-C charging and USB-A charging, so both is possible. And who remembers these here? Driving or while driving another time down, it's in cruise control, park and reverse. Yeah, Tesla Model S took them over from the Mercedes models, so these are really old, but I mean, they still do it. And the driver POV, once again here with these buttons, like here for the 360 camera, there you can see is also very good quality of the image, for example. And then here you can also increase, decrease the volume, for example. And then the instruments cannot change much. They are on the right side, some options to change, but they are visible very nicely. And also on the side there's an integrated Mazda lettering, that's cool. And then the head-up display, I set it to the snow mode, that in blue you can see it actually better. And then the main infotainment unit, see here has some angle to it. And the thing is that it is really a very quick system. Like when you control everything here, it's the home screen also here, you can let the car spin around. It's quick, it's responsive, and the main menu is, let's say, Tesla alike here with all these systems. And of course all the Chinese vehicles overtook this base logic here, and then you can set a lot here in this infotainment system. And Apple CarPlay and Auto connection, that's also better than with Tesla, and look at that now. It's a huge integration of the Apple CarPlay, and I wonder, the manufacturers, the thing is that Apple CarPlay is a little bit slower than the main infotainment unit. And manufacturers always tell us, wait a minute, we have like big bezels because Apple tells us to do it this way or that way. But here they somehow figured it out, that they have this full. Yeah, just here again the climate thing. This is just with the touch
But it's quick.
It's quick at least, yes, but we loved Mazda that they offered us the rear knobs. And there's also a gesture function at the moment. Radio is running, and now Leah can show you, when you do this gesture, the music or the radio stops. And then you can do this gesture and the radio keeps on running here, and you can set it here in your infotainment system. You have to record these gestures once and then you can use the gesture control. I mean, we know this from BMW. The question is, who would use that? Rear seats, very interesting. Here inside of the doors, nice structure, also soft. Also then the microfiber, so great build quality here, just hardback at the inside of the doors. Interesting that they use a Sony sound system in the vehicle, by the way. We rarely see that indeed. And then the rear seats, the same materials, also then here. Isofix at the outsides. These clips don't fold up. Yeah, they just remove them. Then you fold down this here. There's no like, they should offer like, you know, like a small attachment to pull this out, however. Cup holders here somewhat adaptive as well. then you cannot change the angle of the seat. It's just folding or not folding, and yeah, that's it basically. Here in the middle console, interesting, you have here this remote function that you can put the front seat further in the front, so that's like this chauffeur function, so to speak. And then also here you have a direct link to the sunshade on the top, and you close it both in the rear and in the front. And I definitely do see the kids doing that maybe from time to time.
Maybe there's a child safety thing in the front.
It's a good question. It's a
to
good
lock it,
question.
yeah.
Let me check that, but
Could be.
I'm not sure. Maybe it's somewhere deep in the menu or something. I don't discover it directly. But yeah, if someone has kids and then bought this vehicle, you tell us in the comments how that one ended up. Then the floor here is really even using that EV platform, so that's good. However, we always have the problem with almost all electric vehicles. It's the same like in the Mercedes CLA recently also, that you have the sandwich building form, then the floor builds higher, and then you have this result that the knees are pretty high in comparison to your hips. And that's not ideal for tall people. However, you see the length of this vehicle here, making you a lot of legroom. This is pretty cool, right? So a lot of legroom there. Also, by the way, here from the build quality here, how it's like at the rear of the seats, that's also very well done. And now, yeah, one problem is also, as for the headroom, it's also not meant for tall people. It works because the panoramic roof then here raises a little bit again. Yeah, to the side, it's a little bit closer again. It's still okay. So when you're my size here in the height, it's still okay. But you see, again, main purpose not for tall people, but definitely there is more space than in the Mercedes CLA. It's also a longer vehicle, but also headroom-wise, yeah, I think it's still fine, so to speak. But there are, of course, other offers. However, the aerodynamics is very important for this vehicle, and therefore they also kept this low roofline. Trunk or boot is at 470 liter. There's just a very, very tiny knob here. You have to hit it directly, so just to know that. The good thing is that it has this fastback opening. That makes the car pretty flexible. You can better see that when I remove this cover here. There we go. Sometimes you have to use the force, young Padawan. And there we go. Very easy access then here. It's not too high here underneath the cover. This one fits directly then. Let's take the measures. So here we have 1.40 meters in width. The normal length is also about 1.40 meters, and the top height here is about 25 something inches or 65 centimeters. And you have to fold the seats when you go around, and the total length here is 74 inches or almost 1.90 meters. So there you see the vehicle length actually. Hardly any more space underneath here. And here actually, I mean, the build quality, let's see if they improve it over time. But this is, we've seen it with a couple of Mazdas that they didn't pay attention too much to here. That's a little bit wobbly there. And also how you fold the seats, you can also do it from here. But this button you have to press in there it really doesn't feel good, and you can kind of scratch your finger there a little bit. So not the best solution. Yeah, so better take care when doing that. And this is then here the full setup. But this is very well usable. Sport mode. Plop. That was 60 to 130 kilometers an hour. I mean, it's not the most performant electric vehicle, but in most cases will be sufficient. And here at 140 kilometers an hour, it's like 80-85 miles an hour. It's not too loud here. It's actually quite okay. And suspension with 19-inch wheels here is rather stiff, I would say. So some uneven parts of the road, you do feel them quite prominently, I would say. Yeah, we're gonna compare it also soon in city driving, but it is rather rough indeed from suspension. Or what's your take?
Yeah. You feel little bumps all the time.
Yeah, the small
like
bumps
you're
you
shaking
feel.
all the time.
Yeah, indeed. So we're here in Germany today to test it really top speed. Let's see if we can get it to top speed. 175 kilometers an hour is the official top speed, and yeah, it takes time to reach that. But don't think it's too loud at high speeds. That's actually quite cool.
Good,
yeah, it's just suspension-wise, it feels weird a little bit. Now 178 kilometers an hour, that's the top speed. Let's see when I change the lane. That's okay. doesn't give me the most secure feeling, honestly. You feel as if the car would be sitting relatively high, now hard on the brakes. Now, of course, we also use the rear brakes, not only recuperation. In most other situations, recuperation will only be used. The rear brakes only we feel like really hammer it. A little bit squeaking here, like when you put your elbow on here. That you do feel actually. When you're here below 100 kilometers an hour, 60 miles an hour, then you don't feel so much like from this feeling, but we can say it does not feel that Mazda-esque from the driving, and there you feel that this is here a joint venture and not necessarily a proprietary Mazda model. From the exterior, yes, and from the interior design, definitely yes, but driving-wise, it does not drive like a Mazda, you know. So suspension indeed could be more comfortable. Steering-wise, it's a little bit vague, I would say. It's not that it has dead zone, but there is not a great feeling to it. So I can also put here different modes. We're in the sport mode at the moment. That's already stiffer. I can also go individual mode and have, for example, the steering to the sport setting. And I would recommend it because that is already, even in the sport mode, is a rather soft setting, you know. I've set the energy recovery to low. That means when I lift my foot off the throttle, it's really low, but I could also set it to high, and then I have a strong recuperation. And something in between is also possible, so you can set it, but you can only set it when you are in the individual mode. So when you are in the normal mode or in the power mode, then it's basically a fixed preset from the vehicle itself. Another lane change here. Sometimes the lane change is like this, going off the lane assist. This one does intervene from time to time, a little bit too much for my feel. Of course, you can deactivate a lot of the settings from this vehicle, but you have to do it each time you start up the vehicle. Also here in the smart drive setting, there you can deactivate speed limit chime, overspeed warning, and so on. They plan to maybe set it here on one of the favorite buttons that you can have the possibility. At this moment, it's not possible. And also, maybe you hear this small beep, beep, beep from time to time. This is a warning that I'm looking away from the road. And this is also very, very sensitive. So you do see and feel things that we have often seen with Chinese vehicles, that all the driver assistance systems are extra alert and are really paying attention too much for our taste, so to speak. And especially like when you change the lanes, so often that the lane change, like this assist that keeps you in the lane, actually is intervening too much for me. So the positive thing definitely already from motorway, that's actually quite silent. It has kind of like an inbuilt lumbar support, even if you have the lumbar support all the way out. You know what I mean? So it's really strong from the standard setting of the vehicle. Now again, we can also change the driving mode here. The steering wheel can go one more time to the sport mode. One more acceleration, like 60, so here to 100. That was 60 to 100. So I say the performance is enough, but definitely comparable vehicles, there are a lot that have better performance in that respect. We cannot change the suspension with the driving setting or something like that, so it always remains on the very same level. I really have to say that, yeah, you do feel vibrations also in the steering wheel. You know, when do you feel that when you?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel it. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. It's like always a yeah.
Feel it in my bones. Yeah. Yeah, that's really the thing. So, I mean, even after driving it for a couple of minutes, I really have to say it looks stunning on the exterior. The price and price performance is awesome. The interior build quality looks great, but then, I mean, this is the first thing we discovered that is not so well built, like this here. And I mean, I was even looking straight, and now it's complaining already. You have to deactivate a lot of the things here to make your ride more comfortable. I think really the weakest point of this car is the drive, really, because it drives nothing special. Suspension is not that comfortable, and it does not give you this Mazda driving feeling. So to me, the Mazdas are always about that the drive is fantastic, you know, and even if some things were maybe not that special, it was always so much fun to drive a Mazda. And this vehicle just
Right
does.
here.
That's the voice.
best friend,
The voice assistant, and it's actually not present with this vehicle. You know, also when you steer it here around,
I'm here.
you don't feel that the
I didn't catch.
you you don't feel that the vehicle is connected. And actually, it's the Mazda marketing claim: the connection of driver, car, and road. This Jim by Itai, they call it. And this is not present in this vehicle. And yeah, that's a problem. I mean, some maybe won't care if you're not like a driver-focused buyer or something like that. But if you are, you should just know that. Here also, for example, road is a little bit uneven, and you do feel that you cannot go for smaller wheels or something like that. You're stuck with the 19-inch wheels, which should usually be fine. Let's see now, approaching the traffic light. Yeah, the brake blending here is actually quite fine. You can also dose it. Traffic light jumps to green. Let's see about city driving. Rear-wheel drive is of course cool, right? You know how it gets out of the corners. That's fun, definitely. And as I said, like the noise insulation, it's really silent. Nice ride in that respect. And also when we are driving fast at the motorway, no problem. But the most things you do feel is that the suspension and the steering, they're both a little bit off. So maybe something they can fine-tune from time to time. What's really interesting when just traveling through the city. And then, I mean, it makes sense, you know, that the Chinese-built vehicles, they're built for Chinese traffic, lower speeds, mostly traffic inside the city, and you don't have high speeds on motorways and so on. And this is what this car is also doing well here, inside the city. Smooth, silent, electric. Rear passengers have enough legroom and so on. And it's not like German manufacturers develop their cars that they run well at 150 kilometers an hour on the motorway. And the shortcomings of this vehicle you rather feel on the autobahn, on the motorway, especially on the German autobahn. But in the city, rather not. You know, there it rather feels like a luxurious sedan. You know, everything looks nice, feels nice, and so on. Yeah, this squeaking thing, we have to see if it continues to be that way or if the maybe later built vehicles will not have that. We'll keep you updated with that. But in the city, it's more the effect, yeah, you have the rear-wheel drive, you have an electric vehicle, and then you can also nicely get out of the corners. It's silent and it's smooth. And also the shortcomings from suspension and from the chassis and so on, you don't feel it that much. It's really like as faster you go, the more you feel then the difference from this one here to the competitors, you know, like low spec BMW i4, Mercedes CLA entry spec and so on, something like that. And Model 3, that's of course a very interesting point. So the Model 3 is also very stiff in the suspension, yes, but then again it also drives very sporty, you know. So you have a better sporty control feeling with the Model 3. Does the Model 3 drive better? I would say so. I mean, this one here. Oh. Yeah. Did you hear the car complain about my verdict? So I think the Model 3 drives better. But this one
don't have that vibration thing.
Yeah, the vibration. Yeah. That's.
It's sporty and it drives sporty.
Yeah,
That's
the Model 3 is sporty. Period. Yeah. So yeah, but everything else is then fine. And this one here has its own advantages, you know, like the exterior design and the space you have there, more length in comparison to the Model 3 and so on, and the cool interior stuff and so on. But in driving, it's really hard to find advantages in comparison to the competitors. But as I said, when you predominantly drive city, not so much high speed, you won't feel as much of it. Soon I'm going to talk about the prices, and you might wonder, how can they offer this one here at that price? And the reason is it's a joint venture with Chang'an, it's a Chinese manufacturer. It's also built in China. And why is it still so cheap? Although there's 21% special EV tax from the European Union on this car here. Well, the reason is in China have cheaper labor costs, cheaper energy costs, and there's also subsidies for EV manufacturing, and then they can offer it at that price. Actually, pretty astonishing that they can offer it at that price, which is following right now although there is this, special tax even on it now. As for the pricing, starts 45,000 euros, and this of course really a good deal. Small battery, but you don't have to add anything extra. You could theoretically add the bigger battery for 1,500 euros. It's a small difference, but it doesn't make sense because it charges super slow. And then for 2,000 euros, you can add this higher trim level, which is also not very recommended, honestly, because you are also fine with the perforated leatherette seats and so on, with the base trim. So you can really take this one for 45,000 euros, and that's it. And together with the great design on the exterior, this could really catch a lot of customers and be a viable Model 3 competitor, and maybe also like against the base level, entry-level model of the Mercedes CLA, which is also then more or less coming close to that price actually. Very interesting, and of course you have a longer car for that. Average consumption for today, actually quite good conditions for the EVs, around 20 degrees Celsius, 70 degrees Fahrenheit. And we went on the motorway 110, 120 kilometers an hour, something like that. So around 70 miles per hour with some city mix as well. And then we ended up with around 16 kilowatt hours and 100 kilometers. There are better competitors, but there are also worse ones. And it would mean for the small battery around 430 kilometers of the real world range, which is 270 kilometers. And I mean, there are better ones. Meanwhile, there are also ones with bigger battery, but considering once again the price performance, this is still a decent result. And it's really, like I said, from the exterior, pretty cool. Interior, how it looks and feels, really nice. Also space-wise in the length and so on. Fastback accessible trunk. But in driving, it doesn't really hold what it promises. It doesn't drive that well, but predominantly on the motorway, higher speeds. In the city, not such a problem. It's also nice with rear-wheel drive, electric drive. Just the German Autobahn test. There it also reveals that you don't get everything for that price considering. And now check out some of the competitors.